Hey, welcome back. I'm Top Music Attorney, and this is the Top Music Attorney podcast. I'm Miss Krystle, and I'm going to teach you how to build your own music business and scale to six figures. So excited to be back. Hello. So as you guys are filing in the chat, you know the deal. We're going to be taking questions throughout the live stream. That's why we do this live. Whatever platform you're on, just drop a question in the chat and I will be sure to answer it during the show. Now, during the show, we're going to be covering all the newsy things. We have some cool stuff happening in regards to the sale of a portion of Michael Jackson's catalog. We've been covering so many music catalog sales because they're just like the sexiest numbers and business deals to do. They're some of my favorite to do as an actual entertainment and music attorney. But in any case, we've been covering the Justin Bieber cool 200 million estimated for his publishing rights. I think we did Dr. Dre around 200 million. We had Springsteen. I think his was 500 million. So in any case, these are all the super fun things to talk about. But that's only one thing that we're going to be discussing. Hello in the chat. As you guys are filing in, as always, where are you checking in from and how you doing? And so besides Michael Jackson, we're also talking about all the AI stuff. So David Guetta, he was doing kind of this prank where he created a song using Eminem's voice, but it wasn't Eminem's voice. It was an AI generated Eminem's voice. And he did a show with the song and it's crazy. Let's see, what else? What's up? Today is going great. Always so excited to kind of get in here, get in on the things and see what's going on in the news. And then we're, of course, going to cover a music business tip. And so, what I do for you guys on the channel is I really hyper focus on anyone who's in the music business. I promote this concept of becoming your own business because that seems to be the missing link for everyone, regardless of where you're trying to excel and, get your career to the next level. If you're an artist or a producer or a record label owner, all of it has to do with this mindset or lack thereof of doing it for yourself. So that's what we teach, and that's what we're doing on this channel. But in any case, today I'm very inspired to talk about management agreements, okay? And it's because I was like this all week about a couple different management agreements that I've been reviewing through my law firm, and it's just driving me crazy. So I really need to talk about these and kind of what to watch out for. There's going to be a lot of yikes things I go over. So yeah, we'll get into that as well. Hello to New York City. Hey, be sure to hit that like button wherever you're watching, and I appreciate you guys being here. All right, very good. All right, so we'll have that Orko join us a little bit later. We're gonna run the intro and then we'll check in. So again, as you guys are filing in, let me know where you checking in from, how you doing, and we'll be getting into all the things here shortly. Hi guys, I'm Top Music Attorney Miss Krystle. I'm an entertainment attorney, public speaker, and creator of the Top Music Attorney School for artists and record labels. I'm the owner of Dukes Up Records, and most importantly, I'm an independent artist. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss my weekly videos giving you my best tips on the music business, industry news updates, and teaching you how to stay legally protected. Let's go. So I got ashwagandha tea. It kind of doesn't have any kick to it. Has anyone had that kind of tea before? It's supposed to promote the healing and the calm and to settle the rages, I don't know that it's going to do any of that, but we're drinking it. So as far as just things going on, it has been crazy and busy and life-changing and so much happening in 2023. But that was always the goal. That was always the focus of just, making huge strides. I think for this month, because I have this I don't want to call it a journal. It's a physical calendar. I do it to keep it separate from my other digital calendars because it can be very overwhelming. There's multiple calendars and there's just a lot. Okay, so it's really good for staying organized. But I have a separate one that has to do with more of my fulfillment stuff, right? As I'm trying to improve as a human being and work on my different things per day. So it's the guy that I have. And I try to kind of like recap every month, and I even grade myself. I'm telling you guys way too much information. But even at the end of the month, because I highlight days that are really good, I highlight why they were good. What did I, fulfill? What did I do that was, what's up, Australia? What are the big goals that I had, right? So I really try to keep myself accountable, and I do it using this particular calendar. But then I also highlight stuff, I star stuff. I'm just very like interactive with myself. So anyway, at the end of the month, I grade it. And then in the beginning of the new month, I add stuff just as kind of like reminders. I was like, this was a really good thing, or this is something I need to work on. And my word of the month for February is progress. And so it was just a reminder that, while I'll kind of get as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a musician, I'll get wrapped up in all the daily to-dos. And sometimes that means I'm not actually making forward movement and forward progress on the big things, right? That aren't actual to-do items. They're more big picture things. So in any case, I thought I would just share that because I feel like sometimes that's why we might be frustrated, even though we're working so hard and we might be moving forward in our careers, but we feel like we're just kind of spinning in place. And it's because there might not be time that is specifically dedicated every single day to the needle moving activities, as I like to call it. And I'm actually going through a book right now, and it's called The Morning Miracle. It's a short little, like, 4-hour listen if you want to listen to it through Audible. But, just talking about that morning routine and having that dedicated time and all the things and how it can just change your life. So, anyway, all fun things. But in any case, in actual music stuff, yes, 2023 is our year for sure. In all the things coming up, we're going to be going to NAMM. We're going to be a vendor in California. I'm very excited. That's coming up in April. It's coming up real quick, so that's going to be fun. My team and I are just going to all come out and do the thing. We'll have the shirts. We have to get the shirts. I don't know what the shirts are going to say, but we will all have the shirts. And it's going to be really cool because for a lot of my musician and producers and vendors and all the things in music that will be there, we'll be able to say hi. And it's been kind of like my thing that I tell everyone when they're like, let's grab coffee. I'm in California. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be, at NAMM in April. Just come and see me. NAMM, yes. Yes, indeed. Hey, Sebastian, what's up? All right, so you might not be coming to NAMM. That's okay. We'll have to connect later. But in any case, the only other thing I'll mention just real quick, as far as just being like a musician and putting out your music and always having that hustle for me, I'm always going to do it because it's my passion. I never think that someone should set it aside for anything else, even when they have other things like business endeavors that are doing really well. And so I keep that rule for myself, and I've continued with what I do as an independent artist. And so I have a new song that's coming out tomorrow. I'm super excited. It's called Something in the Way. And so you'll see that if you follow on my Miss Krystle platform. I'm very excited about that. All right. So with that all being said, I think I'm going to pull in that Orko so we can start talking about all the newsy things. We got very juicy topics today, but one of which is my favorite I'm very excited about. So let's bring him in.
Hey, shout out to the community. Thank you guys for being here. If you haven't already, please hit like on from where you're watching. It really helps out. And of course, we want you to join us over on our YouTube channel. We just hit 20,000 on the channel. We're super excited about this.
Thank you for remembering that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super stoked on it. It's been quite the journey. And so if you're watching from Facebook or LinkedIn, or because we broadcast out to many different platforms, make sure you join us over on YouTube. But hello, Miss Krystle.
Hey, well, thank you for being here. What shirt are we rocking today? NERD.
This is my favorite band, NERD, composed of Pharrell Williams, Chad Hugo, and Shay. And it is I spend so much money on NERD, Billionaire Boys Club, ice cream stuff, but it's my favorite. So that's what I wear.
You do. It's funny how brands and merch companies, they'll just, obviously you fall in love with the merch company or the brand or the person, and so you just buy whatever the thing is that they put out. And even like if you bought a pair of pants, right?
Yeah.
The the ice cream pants.
No, my Billionaire Boys Club pants.
Oh, I thought it had ice cream on it. But anyway, so yeah, Billionaire Boys Club, and it has writing across the crotch area. And
Mhm.
I'm like, I've seen pants like that, but I'm like, I would not choose to wear that. I don't know that I would choose for you to wear that,
Oh,
but it's
I'm gonna wear
cute.
them. I'm gonna
No,
wear
you
them.
are absolutely gonna wear them. So,
And this shirt is really cool because it's something in the water shirt, which is pretty fun.
oh, look at that.
That was the big. We talked about that a lot on the show. Is the big festival on the East Coast? But yeah,
Yep.
great.
All right, so we got lots of things to talk about. What do you think? Let's start. Maybe we'll start with Michael.
Whatever you need.
All right, let me do it this way. Michael Jackson's estate is talking about selling 50% or the 50% share that it owns in the Michael Jackson catalog, which is estimated to be worth 800 million to 900 million dollars. All right, so whew, all right, let's let that sink in for a second. We're talking about obviously just this prolific artist who had this prolific career and then passed. What was he, 50 when he had passed? Obviously, that's a whole other thing. But as it relates to now this conversation on selling music and more specifically publishing rights. So his estate, meaning, his remaining heirs, have the right to his publishing. And so they're now going to do this deal and they're shopping it around. And I mean, this might be the biggest deal that we've seen
Yeah,
to
it's
date.
crazy, and it's crazy too because it's for, it's for 50%. It's not even
Yep.
everything. It's so it just what a force that, Michael Jackson continues to be even in his death. I mean, he is according to the Recording Industry Association of America, he has sold over 1 billion records. So
Wasn't that just from I know Thriller was one of the big it was like one of the top charting albums of all
of all
time.
time, yeah.
Obviously that plays into it, but when you compare to other catalog sales that we've covered like Bruce Springsteen,
Springsteen, Bob Dylan, Justin
which was
Timberlake.
estimated the biggest one we had covered thus far,
Yeah.
which had been estimated around 500 and some people have said 600 million dollars for his publishing rights. Bob Dylan, he was roughly 150 to 200 million. Dr. Dre, 200
Yeah.
million, and then most recently Justin Bieber, 200 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy that we're having these talks, but I mean, it makes sense. There's a lot of that's going on. I mean, I think it's also going to cover the work of the biopic and the musical Broadway show as well. So everything that they've partnered in. So I mean, MJ is definitely gonna still continue to generate money and just the deals they can make. What I also saw, and I don't know how, obviously the deal hasn't gone through, it's just in talks and just being reported by sources, but TMZ said that the estate would do it, but they want to maintain complete control of what kind of still happens with it. They just wanted to do a deal that they would just be earning. Now, what that was just speculation. That was just somebody that just said something to TMZ. I can't imagine if I'm paying that much money, I'm still going to let you retain control over it, or unless that was maybe for a length of time. But I wonder if you've ever seen anything like that, because I know you deal a lot with catalog sales, and you ever see like stipulations where, yeah, I'll sell it to you, but I still have control of it for like X amount of years, or does that happen a lot?
Yeah, so sometimes someone will be trying to sell a catalog and they don't have the full rights yet. So, for example, if the catalog is currently in a distribution agreement, someone else is in control of it, distributing it, and there's usually a term of representation. So, if you're stuck in some other contract, sometimes what we do is we're like, all right, cool, we're going to do the purchase agreement now, but
Yeah.
all your rights don't necessarily vest right away. You're going to have to wait a little bit of time, but obviously, you're going to get the rights right now at the current price. Okay. So obviously, with market changes, it won't go up, it won't go down at the current price. But then, you might not get the full rights until later, or it might be only a portion. So totally. I've done deals like that for sure.
I don't know. It's just always remembering. Obviously, there's only one king of pop, and it's going to be very tough to aspire to be that goal. But we just, like you mentioned, just some of the other catalog sales that we've talked about. This is the goal. This is what you're kind of wanting to do, and making sure that you have a will. You know what I mean? Even if you haven't completely blown up or anything, I mean, just as a person, you should just have some kind of will or whatever. So your state or whoever controls, so it doesn't become like a bank or whatever, or just a
Yeah,
free
and
for
it's
all.
yeah, I think you made a really good point. It should be for anyone, right? If you don't have a contract, a writing in place to say what do you want to happen with your stuff if and when you pass, but then particularly if you're a creator, your copyrights, right? The music ownership, your publishing, your music videos. And so one comes to mind, Prince, right?
Yeah,
So he passed without a will, and so you're talking about a massive estate. And so we had a whole bunch of problems, not only on well, what happens to all the stuff? And then beyond that, all these people started coming out of the woodworks and be like, I'm his children, I'm
it's
his son, I'm his daughter.
crazy. Yeah, get
Yeah,
that taken care of, and it's so weird for a guy that was so concerned and so vocal about how companies take advantage of
that's a
artists
good
and where
point.
the
Yeah.
money goes and stuff like that, and just I don't know. I don't know. I think it's really weird that he didn't have any kind of documentation, but I don't know. There could, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe he did somewhere. Maybe it's hidden. They haven't found it in Paisley Park yet. But
Yeah, so we will be following this sale very closely, and
yes,
I'm estimating we probably will land closer to a billion because why not? So that's my vote. The next
round
update
up.
when there is a sale will be at the $1 billion range. Hey. All right, so real quick in the chat, thank you guys. You know the deals. You check in. Where you checking in from? Thank you. Love you all being here. Frankie, a lot of love back at you. Now, Chris Ryan Davis the second had a question. Is that something Beatport would be interested in? Is this illegal to obtain any files from someone's computer if they are deceased? Family might believe so, as it's made for individuals to enjoy. Well, so as far as whether they're files in a folder, right? Or they're files on a computer, that actually does belong to someone. So that's what we're talking about. If something belongs to
Mhm.
someone and they pass, well, typically, you have a will or a trust,
Right.
and that says what happens with the stuff. If you don't have that, the state that you live in has statutes, right? They have laws on what happens. And I always say this, I'm like, for anyone who's like against, you know, prenups or wills or trusts or whatever, understand that by not having a document, you're basically just saying, hey, government, whatever you set forth in the
Right.
statutes, I'm just going to agree to that. So by actually doing your own contracts, having your own will, having your own trust, you get to stay in charge of everything. So that's my 2 cents. All right, here we go. So let's move on. Let's talk about David Guetta. David Guetta made a song with a deepfake Eminem vocal that he made, and then he played it live at a show. And this is pretty crazy because the what he did wasn't a sample, right? He's not
Right.
taking and manipulating an Eminem vocal. He's not having someone come in the studio and pretend to be Eminem. He actually, and this is what he said, he went to one website, right? So with the first website, it's like an AI website, and you go, "Hey, I want a verse written in the style that Eminem writes in." And the AI website generated some lyrics. And
Right.
then he went to a second website and he goes, "Hey, AI website, I want you to now use these words and put it in the voicing of Eminem." And it came out creepily very close to what Eminem sounds like. So I would have believed it. Now he says, "Oh, I did it as a joke." Right now, we haven't obviously seen any big eruption or upset coming from Eminem, but this is worth quick legal analysis, right? What claims could Eminem have? And the first is obviously just use of his name and likeness, right? So David Guetta is actually saying, "Hey, I made this thing
It's a prank.
using Eminem's voice," right? A prank or otherwise. And for everyone in that audience, they probably didn't know any different. And so, if obviously it had been something that was mocking Eminem or otherwise, not only would Eminem have a claim, you didn't get my permission to recreate my likeness, right? But then, obviously, if you did it in a way that was insulting to me or to other people, then maybe it's defamation. So anyway, as far as legal claims, there actually could be some here, but just as we're discussing AI and the creation of stuff, right? From a top line to a song. I mean, how do you feel about this?
It's one of those things that we talk about AI a lot on this channel, and my thing is everyone just needs to be real careful for what they wish for as we are using it to generate our art. Now, I didn't even think about before. I was just wondering, thinking about just AI just creating music beds and kind of creating songs and stuff. I didn't think about they're stealing people's, voice artifacts to create new sentences of things, and then they'll generate lyrics in your side. Like, it's gonna be really careful, because what is starting as kind of funny and as a trend is gonna kind of take over. I mean, look at things like the vocoder or like auto tune, which have been around since like the 80s and stuff, and with vocoding and talk boxes and stuff, but where they come little things and then become like a staple of stuff. And
Okay, and you say be weary of it. Why?
yes, I'm being weird because I think that people are gonna really kind of take advantage of that stuff. I think not necessarily, maybe not the voice mapping so much, because that's a little more kind of on the nose. But I mean, just being lazy about writing your lyrics. Just have AI write your lyrics, and just I fear that true humans are the element of creating art might be being taken away from. Now, my other point is, this is a cool promotion way, I guess, to get around actually getting Eminem to do your song. It's a prank, it's a bit, it's a TikTok, or a Instagram reel. It's I'm just kind of, people are so entitled just to take whatever they want from whatever it is and use it to promo their stuff. So he's like, I'm never going to officially release this thing. Well, that's great, but you've just played it for, tens of thousands of people at the festival. Your clip went viral, everyone's covering it, everyone is hurting it. So you did use Eminem's name and likeness for your promotion, whether it be for likes and validation or whether it be for, getting money.
Right.
But I mean, he is getting compensated, or he is, earning money from this Eminem prank.
Yeah, and guys, you don't, beware. Don't steal someone's whatever it is and be like, "Oh, I only released it on SoundCloud. I didn't make money from it." No, if you benefit in any kind of way, and even if you don't, you are still going to run into legal problems very likely. Now, let's talk real quickly about the deep fakes, right? So,
Yeah.
TikTok, the deep fake channels that I've run across for like Keanu Reeves, for example, has anyone else seen this stuff? It's
The Tom Cruise are
incredible.
legendary.
And it even has confused me sometimes when I've seen different people like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's on TikTok now," and then you
I've
realize that
seen
it's a
I've seen some Morgan Freeman stuff that's crazy. It's insane what people are doing, and you're gonna get into some weird. This is gonna be a really weird world. Like, I hate to keep saying that, but it's going to, like, when the deep fakes get so good that like your political figures you can't tell, or your favorite artists you can't tell anymore. It's not like, I don't know. It's not like some guys in a suit trying to pretend to be Bigfoot
I
anymore. You know
feel
what I
like
mean?
social media private owners would adapt with that. You've seen that a little bit, that they'll make some kind of change on their private platforms to
Mm,
try to control. I think it was like a political thing initially, but even in this, right? So just to make sure that if you aren't actually the person, you can't have a profile pretending to be that person. I think that the way to, have checks and balances is to make sure that these companies are in fact doing it. And if they don't, that's usually when
yeah.
government is like, all right, now I got to do this bill, now I got to do this legislation. I like K. What is it? Oops, right, wrong one. Wrong. You guys are going too fast with this. But technically, if he's a real G, he can't be sued. If I could say that to clients as an attorney and be like, look, I know it's against the law, but you're the real G, so you can't be sued. Or maybe that's
Yeah,
a shirt. Maybe I should make that a shirt.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I just get real weary just how, because everything is just so accessible to the everyday person, this technology. And so, and it just it's not going to get worse. It's just going to get better. I use the video game reference. Look where Atari video games started, or in television, and where it's at now with the graphics. And it's going to get, so I'm talking like 5 years. I'm talking 10 years. This world, the landscape is going to be crazy for that.
Well, when it comes to enforcement of copyright, even in the digital age, which is where a lot of this stuff happens now, a lot of the illegal sampling, and to Smells or SMEL's point, if there's no real money to grab, real money, well, who's going to pay attention? And to a degree, that's right. But that's not obviously how we need to think, right? Because it literally takes one song, one post, one DM, whatever it is, to have someone just catapult to insane fame, which then results in, collaborations and partnerships and all the things. And so it happens very quickly, right? The overnight success after 10 years. And the point just being that even though if you're stealing stuff, right, music, you're sampling without authorization, you probably are going to get away with it for a long time. It doesn't change the fact that you are violating people's copyrights and that they might have statutory damage claims against you. And they can be like, hey, judge, I want my $150,000 via statutory damages, and they might get him. So it's just kind of like, you can speed. If there's no one around, you can go 200 miles an hour. Can you even go that fast? I don't even know. You can, but it's just understanding that there's still potential liability and harm.
That's real scary. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like how just how accessible that everything is. Even just like with music that's just so available. So people are, you're not supposed to use the music on TikTok and stuff to promote your product unless you have like a partnership or something like that. But people do, and people are, I don't know. It's just the Wild West. And by the time that a lawsuit is even going to catch up to you, you've already got away from it and benefit from it. And even if they can figure out a way to calculate the monetary damages of it, I mean, whatever clout that you got from social media, you're not going to lose because you're in a lawsuit. People don't care. They like your content. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not so much fearful as I am just, I'm interested to see where this goes and how, we try to manage it, because with the laws in place, they're written by old guys that are really old. Right? These are really
But you
old
can't keep
laws,
up with it.
and
We need AI to write the new laws.
yeah. Yeah. Hey. All right, so as of now, we are not being overthrown by the AI, so we can hang out, talk about it, and we'll see where this all goes. All right, let me pull up this complaint. So this is an interesting one. We're talking about American Idol in the chat. American Idol's on his like 100th season,
Yeah.
right?
It's crazy.
I watched it so much with my mom. I really did. Like, it was such a thing, an event. I don't know if they still vote by phone, but we did that when that was whatever.
I don't even know when the last time I checked in with American Idol. I used to like The Voice too. But then literally, I can't even imagine how long it's been since I've watched any of those.
Yeah, so anyway, this is about American Idol, and this is kind of interesting because I had a very, very strong opinion about this when I first read it, which we're gonna go through, and my opinion is evolving as we speak. And I'm gonna play devil's advocate because I'm always about trying to be fair and impartial. Am I freezing?
I don't know.
Am I freezing?
Hit it from the top though.
All right. Do I need to refresh? Or are we okay?
I mean, you look pretty good, but if you don't feel good over there and you want to just do it real quick, we can.
I don't know. I just opened something and my system's like, no can do, and it's
something did happen, but I mean, but you look good to me. How's it in the crowd? Put a thumbs up or something in the crowd.
Yeah, my system's like freaking out. So I'm gonna refresh. You talk to the people. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So this is a great opportunity. If you haven't yet, just go ahead and hit like wherever you're watching, whether it's Facebook, whether it is YouTube, LinkedIn. Say hello. Let's bring her back in. Let's see how that looks.
Here I am.
Look good. Looks good to me. Big thumbs up in the crowd. Thank you guys.
All right, perfect. I appreciate you guys. Okay, let's try again. I think it's just when I open this article, there's so much. It's a New York Post article, so it's just like cannot handle all the ads. All right, let's try again.
I like this comment right here from KX. She's glitching because that's actually the Miss Krystle Deepfake.
That's right. I gotta watch out. All right. American Idol contestant sues, saying she was made a laughing stock. All right, so let me give you a little context. An American Idol contestant, she's suing the producers of course, the hit reality TV show, alleging she's the victim of wage theft and that the celebrity judges basically made fun of her. She was a laughing stock. So Normandy Vamos, she's 30. She appeared in the 20th season. This is the one with Katy Perry, Luke Bryan,
Lionel Richie.
Thank you. I'm having a hard time with the words and the names. But in any case, this was interesting because when I initially saw this and I actually watched the segment, there were a couple things that just popped out because she was kind of an oddity. And I think the reason she made the cut, right, to actually be on TV, regardless of whether she auditioned or not, was because of the oddity in her voicings. So she, in the audition, she spoke with a very, very high tone, very kind of baby voice. And then when she would sing, she had a register that was pretty warm and in the chest and low. And so that in itself kind of stood out. And it seemed that maybe she was putting on a voice when she spoke and things like that. Whatever she's doing is cool, right? But in any case, I think that's where kind of the humor in it came. And then you saw, Katy Perry at one point, she jumps up. She's like, I can't do this. I'm being set up. This is a joke.
I'm not falling for it. Yeah.
I'm not falling for it. And then she even asks the contestant to sing like an Adele song, right? Which is, again, a deeper register. She sings it. She actually has a great voice.
Great voice. Yeah.
So in any case, the basis of her, she was made a laughingstock is kind of just those different things that I pointed out. But as it relates to the wage theft, there's a couple pieces here. And what makes this interesting is that I was taking a look at the actual complaint. This is not just this one plaintiff. This is a class action. And how many people are on this? Like 400 people?
Well, yeah, that's what I was reading as I was kind of going a little bit deeper than just the the glossy kind of article headlines and stuff to really deepen in.
Okay, so what she's saying is that in order to audition, me and all these other contestants were being told, you wait in the hotel. And she goes, we're waiting in the hotel for 15 hours every day. And for me, I think it was like 8 days consecutively. And she goes, for all of that, I was doing it without income. Now, for me, I had a very strong kind of reaction to this because I'm like, are you kidding me? They're not hiring you to go and wait to audition. You are going and essentially like begging a TV show to make you a star.
Right.
Right? So if you're going to go and you are going to try to audition to have this opportunity and
it's
kind
voluntary.
Yeah, it's voluntary. You're playing by the rules. And more importantly, you sign a contract.
Right.
Okay? So at every stage of these reality TV shows, which I've reviewed for clients, they make all kinds of concessions and covenants saying, you're going to be on TV. We're going to edit you however we want to edit you, even if we make you look
own the
silly.
Footage. We don't have to give you the footage.
We don't have to get your permission to use your name and likeness over and over.
And while you're waiting for the 15 hours to be on the show, that gives you plenty of time to really look over those contracts.
Well, so in any case, these are really ironclad agreements having to do with use of your name and likeness and how they edit you. And of course, the fact that you aren't getting compensation, or if you are, limiting what that compensation is. Now, if I was representing the TV show, right, I'm going to go, well, if you have thousands and thousands and thousands of people in all cities auditioning, how can we possibly be able to, pay all this? And then, devil's advocate, well, of course you can, right? You should. People are wasting their time. Now, I'm going to tell you a little side story because I have personal experience with this. Many, many yonders ago, I went on one of these reality TV shows with my family band, and I didn't want to do it. I think these TV voice shows are so fun to watch, and I love them, and it's amazing for a lot of people. For me, I think they're super cheesy, and I didn't want to do it. But I was talked into it, and so I went and did the thing. And it was a nightmare. You wait forever, and that was totally our experience. We were there, and I think we finally did our audition at like 10 o'clock at night. We're dehydrated. We've been sitting on the floor. Like, it's a miserable experience, but that's what it was. And we kind of already knew what it was because they're trying to get through so many people. Right. So again, I totally agree. I'm sitting there, I'm waiting. It's miserable. And so we went on to the next round and we did the big thing in front of all the judges and the big stage. And, it was cool. But again, I just have a hard time with this, because we were made to wait because of the volume of what the producers are doing for this show and the opportunity that the show presents. I'm going on a little bit of rant, but I'm definitely one-sided.
No, I like it. Well, it's and then you have to be careful because this could set a precedent if she ends up winning this or whatever, if based on like I'm waiting around. Like, so does that mean that any movie or any TV show or commercial that casts somebody, if you're waiting in line, if you happen to get in line, I have to pay you because you're waiting in line to do something that you may or may not get the gig anyway? Like, I don't know. I think that I get it that you're signing up for the gig. You know what the gig is. From what I remember from, I don't even know, probably like season 2 or season 3. Really, I don't watch these shows, But from what I know that they show you, I've seen, some of these other like America Got Talent stuff, and you're waiting. A lot of the shows, especially the auditions, they show you waiting. They're showing people waiting in line, and they go, "I've been here for 14, 15 hours. I've been here
Yeah.
since 2." They wear it like a badge of honor. And so, I don't know. I think it's pretty. It's an interesting thing though. It's very interesting that a lot of people are jumping on. And then I saw something else that they're going through that I don't really know a whole lot about, but just their staff is also, some of their staff members are also trying to jump in on something too because they want money as well. They don't feel like they're being compensated. And I know California has some really interesting
And that's this
laws.
there's a couple things. Let's play devil's advocate, right? So let's say I have an 18-year-old daughter and she's going to go for this opportunity and she works, her job to support herself, and now she's going to take off a full week to go and audition for this show. She's not making money, she's paying to be in a hotel. I could definitely sympathize with that kind of situation, and just to be
No, but
like,
I love this. I love this road that you're going on. Yeah, no, finish this thought. I love this road because it's their own. Like that's why you ever wonder who goes on these shows. Like when you watch, like if you ever watch like The Bachelor, or you watch these like reality shows where like they're in the house for like 6 months all living together. It's like you don't have a job. It's like you don't have like anything to do. Like what do you think is gonna happen just because you're like, oh, I'm entitled to be a star, so I'm gonna I deserve to be compensated because of my talent. I don't know.
yeah,
It's
and I look forward to anyone who wants to challenge me on this, but that was just my initial gut reaction. Now let's look real quickly at the complaint. Again, let's be, as fair as we can about this. Let me make this bigger so you guys can hopefully see. All right, so if you look over here, this is all the actual claims. So it's number one, failure to pay overtime wages. Okay, so to say we're entitled to actually be paid, and that's probably in relation to the employees. Now, that's the other thing. I'm not even commenting about the employees. I don't know what their claims are, if they were overworked and underpaid and all the things. I'm talking specifically about those contestants who were auditioning. Okay. So, failure to pay minimum wages, probably the employees, liquidated damages for failure to pay minimum wage, failure to provide accurate and itemized wage statements, failure to provide uninterrupted meal periods, failure to provide uninterrupted rest periods, failure to pay wages promptly upon termination, unjust enrichment. So this one is probably closer for the contestants. Unjust enrichment basically is when there is not a contract or it's in the alternative, right? So you say, if, for example, court finds that the contract that I signed for the show doesn't apply to my claim that I should have been paid wages, therefore there's no contract, so it's called unjust enrichment. You go, hey, other company, you did all these things and benefited from me, but I was not fairly compensated. Now, if I was representing American Idol, I come back and be like, I made you a star. Well, however you
right.
want to paint it, you are now a viral sensation, not only because you were an interesting character on the show, but because now of all of this, like for all these reasons, you are benefiting
Mm.
from the publicity, which has, a monetary value on it. Another claim, failure to reimburse business expenses, unfair business practices. It's not fair that you guys are, basically exploiting all these
Yes.
contestants and not paying us, daily wages. And then private attorneys general act, I'm not sure what that one is. So, in any case, this was a little bit more interesting to me because now this is a class action. Okay. And
The
if we're
only
talking about hundreds of people, now I'm not going to say there aren't hundreds of people kind of, complaining about the same thing or that they're not entitled to. I just
right.
know that for me, I would have a hard time wanting to sue a show that did what it promised to do, which was, you may feature me on the show in one way or another. They did do that with this particular contestant, But then, as far as how long it took, to say it took
Right.
too long, logistics. I don't think they were just having you wait because they're jerks.
Well, no, it's not even just that. I mean, at the end of the day, like a lot of the point of the show is you still have to sign a contract. It's your choice to either sign that contract or not sign that contract. I'm sure it's very clear in there that you are not getting compensated financially for this, and you still sign that contract. Now, you could choose not to go on the show. That's how they do it. Or maybe, some of these complaints when people go, I don't want to go do it. I think it'd be interesting maybe to do a show for some of the, or, where we're looking at some of these entry forms when you are submitting to some of these contests or some of these singing competitions and stuff, because I'm sure that they have on their websites when you're entering and sending in your video, they have some like rules and just different kind of legal stuff of what it means. Because I mean, if you get accepted, they use your audition clips, I'm sure, in some of the montage scenes or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and much love. It's funny because on cases like this, we see people go on reality TV shows and they do sign contracts saying producers can edit you however they want. And that's a risk you take when you voluntarily sign the contract and then go on the show, right? But nonetheless, some people will be incredibly upset because they were painted in a bad way. We have even covered a lawsuit recently having to do with what is it called? Finding Anna, discovering Anna, inventing Anna. So
Inventing it,
inventing
right?
Anna, and how one of the characters was portrayed in it, and she goes, I was portrayed as just this gold digging, ugly kind of person, and that's not me. So she sues. People really care about how they are portrayed, even after they sign contracts. So not having reviewed her exact contract, but knowing generally what these agreements do say, it's definitely going to be an uphill battle. But here's the thing, it will be interesting to see, because if this class action suit is successful in any capacity for the contestants, this could be a game changer, because
And that's
American Idol will have to kind of change its policies.
every show will have to change its policies.
Yeah.
Every because it's in if it's in California, every show out there will have to. Then you're gonna get like auditions just for anything. That's why I don't think there's. That's why I don't think there's gonna be like they're gonna be like, no, come on, come on. So we'll see though. But I mean, this is something that I'm definitely gonna be keeping my eye on, because what might seem like, oh, this is kind of like a silly story. If something happens with it, it's gonna change, a lot of television stuff and where it's done.
Yeah. And as you guys know, we always edit this afterwards, and so we'll have to talk to the editor and see whether we want to incorporate the actual video of her, because it's interesting and I feel like it just gives a little context as it relates to her separate claims about being made a laughing stock and things like that. But in any case, interesting stuff, and we'll continue to follow this one. All right, sorry, here's a gavel. All right, so I have we got to do it. All right. So I have a business tip that I need to share. Anything else we need to cover whilst I have
Nope.
you?
That's it. Thanks, guys. Make sure that you hit like before you go and subscribe and all that stuff on YouTube. Oh, I don't know what happened to her. She went away. So, yeah. So, go ahead and make sure that you do all that and join the community if you haven't yet. And let's bring her back in. I don't know what happened there. Check, check.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah, I just like to spontaneously refresh myself before we start this segment. So, in today's music business segment on how to build yourself to be a successful music business for yourself, okay, we're going to be discussing management agreements and what to watch out for. I have been literally going like this all week long because, as a real music attorney of 9 years, just this week, I have had a handful of management agreements that are really giving me some inspiration to want to share some stuff with you guys, so that if and when you find yourself in any of these situations, you'll know what to do. All right. So, I always start with, you're watching this video because you have this dream, right? And you're like, if I had a manager, the manager would be able to take my career to the next level and to be really meaningfully able to help me, because they have a Rolodex of all their contacts and they know what to do. They know the music business, right? That's the dream. Okay. So, one of the questions I'm always going to ask is, what credentials does the manager you're speaking with have? Meaning, what's their resume for being in the music business, for having represented other artists? Are they artists or bands like you, right? Are they doing the same kind of music? All these things really matter. And then also, where did you meet this manager? So as an attorney, I get the contract for purposes of reviewing the contract and finding the problems, which we're going to talk about today. But then, the first question I always am going to ask is, tell me about the relationship. Because if you just met someone and they're signing or having you, trying to have you sign a management agreement, I'm always wondering, why are you signing a contract? Why are you solidifying a relationship with someone you don't know? Okay. These relationships are so important when it's your manager, when it's your agent, even when it's your attorney. These are like the key people that will make or break your career. So, with that all in mind, okay, we're going to talk about a couple of things, including what to watch out for, but then also as it specifically relates to your management agreement, what you need to keep in mind. Because remember, the manager is entitled to 15 to 20% of your income, and that's gross. Okay, that's industry standard. That doesn't seem like a lot when you're not making anything. Okay, so then you have this idea in your head. You're like, oh, well, if I sign with this manager who's this big shot or promises all this stuff, then I'm going to be making money. And then, of course, it's worth paying this person that amount. However, it hurts a lot when you are locked in a long contract with someone who isn't doing anything to help you and you're actually doing all the work. And you're literally just giving someone money for nothing. And I've seen that happen. Okay. If you happen to be a manager watching this, I apologize because I am throwing you under the bus in this video. Now, you're probably going to learn some things anyway, as far as how these deals work, what you should and should not do. But in any case, this is very much from the standpoint of being a music artist. Okay. So when I talk about what to watch out for, there are tips that really will help you in many situations. Number one, the bigger the sales pitch, the more you should be concerned. The manager should say specifically what the manager thinks that he or she can do for you. If someone is ever just giving you a general sales pitch, meaning, hey, I think that I can get you a ton of publications, I'm going to get you a PR company, I'm going to get you a great agent. When someone speaks in generalities, be a little concerned, because what they should be saying is, hey, I have Greg who can get you all the shows on the East Coast. He's great for nightclubs. He only has maybe a 10% deal. It's all going to be great. Or I have connections with these other publications, and specifically, here are the names. That's the kind of stuff you're looking for, because that means that's the exact stuff that the manager can potentially do for you. Okay, so big promises are always very concerning. Number two, if you've never met the person before, don't sign a contract. All right, you have to go through this courtship period. I had this one guy who was like, no, you got to sign the contract right away. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to do anything until you sign a contract. And, I say it's on behalf of the artist that I was doing this deal. That's another red flag. If someone is so eager to get you tied into an agreement and they won't even prove themselves, when really the manager is there to work for you. Okay. So that's a big red flag. Number three, it's okay if the manager is your mom or if it's a family member. And let me explain why. Okay, so if you have a motivated, fierce person who is working on your behalf, the great news is that you and that person can learn everything you need to know if you don't know anything. But you can learn everything that you need to know. And having someone that you trust, that's loyal, and that who has your best interests at heart is really invaluable, especially as you continue to grow in your career. And I have an example of one of my artists who did just this, right? So mom became the manager, didn't know anything about the music business, but over the course of a few years, as the project grew, as the artist grew, it went from zero to now millions, not just in fan following, but in money. And so mom is still the manager, and now they have all this knowledge under their belt, which is pretty cool. Now, having a family member is not always the best thing, okay? Sometimes it backfires because there's complacency and someone's like, "Oh, I just did this because I'm your sister. I just wanted to help you." And they're not really there to hustle. So that's what the piece you're looking for. If it's your manager in any capacity, family, friend, or whoever, you're looking for someone who's going to really hustle and be a partner with you, okay? Number four, big, managers who did their thing in the 90s might not be a good fit for you now. Okay, so just because someone does have some big, fancy, sexy name on their roster of something they did at some time, that doesn't matter. Okay, it needs to be, what are you doing right now? Are you on the ground floor? Do you know the current deal points? Are you familiar with social media? Are you on social media? Like, they need to kind of be at your level of what you're doing, okay? And then number five, you are 100% responsible for your success. Okay, so when it comes to the manager, making you a big star, whatever the story is that you have in your head, that story is likely wrong, because at the end of the day, Managers really are supposed to like pour gasoline on the fire. They're supposed to come in, give you a little direction, right? Help to connect you with people that hopefully they've already met if they are well connected, and to kind of make some things happen. But they're there to be the day to day person that deals with all the headaches. So you can focus on the creative, so you can make the magic. Okay. And in return, they get that 15 to 20%. So, what I just am stressing with this point is just you have to be willing to take on the responsibility for your career. Don't be in a place in your career right now where you're like, oh my gosh, nothing's happening. I've been trying so hard. I just need a manager. That manager is not going to be life changing. You already have to be in motion for getting yourself out there, right? For growing your social media, for putting out the music. And then you get a team member, like a manager, to come in and help. All right, so now let's give you some real, if management agreement tips here. And you guys are going to love this stuff because it's what I'm dealing with every single day. If you are finding this helpful, please be sure give this video a big thumbs up. Number one, if you are dealing with a new manager who's like kind of green, doesn't have a lot of experience, make sure you negotiate for the manager to only get 15%. Because remember what I said, managers get between 15 to 20. So if it's a more experienced manager, they're going to get 20, and that's fine. Okay. Typically, try to negotiate down 15% if they have less of a track record. Number two, make sure you exclude certain things from what the manager gets paid for. The way it works is that when you have a management deal, the manager comes in. Manager's going to get their percentage. Let's pretend it's 20%. They get 20% of everything. It's called gross. So everything that you do in your entire career during the representation term, whether it's TV, film, books, sponsorships, gifts, right? Behind the scenes at shows or whatever, manager is entitled to 20% of all that stuff. Now, if you are running a side business and you're selling like artist courses or you're selling your samples and your beats, manager also gets that unless you specifically exclude it. So you'll see in your management agreement that there's a section that defines the phrase gross profits because it says manager gets 20% of gross profits. So just make sure you go into that definition because it'll be this big old section and it'll be like, here's all the stuff the manager gets. And there's usually stuff like if you happen to get, some shares in a company, if you build a new LLC, if you open up a studio, if you get music equipment, manager has 20% in all of that. So for me, I go, heck no, because often, the artist is paying for merch and then, artist doesn't even get paid back their expenses. So make sure you exclude stuff that the manager should not be getting paid for, which can include things like merchandise. All right, number three, when it comes to the term, meaning how long the agreement is, typically the manager wants to negotiate for as much time as possible, right? They want to lock you in the contract and say, hey, you're going to be like in this deal with me for 5 years. Heck no. You need to try to negotiate for 1 year. That's it. If it's a brand new relationship, you might hate this person after 2 weeks. You're still going to be locked into the agreement. So try to negotiate it for as short a period as possible. But sometimes you have to fall in the middle. So if the manager wants 3 years, you want 1, you're going to land on 2. So with the term, that's one piece. After that, there's what's called options. Okay, so options are the ability for the contract to extend, okay, to become longer, to go after 1 or 2 years. So you want to make sure that it basically just says the option is as short as possible, okay? Again, if the option is like, hey, it's going to be 3 years, negotiate it down. It's going to be an option for 1 year. And you really protect yourself this way because, again, we always think things are going to be great, and they aren't. And I can't tell you for the hundreds of artists that I have worked with over the last 9 years, how many people come to me with bad management agreements. They're trying to figure out how to get out of it. And, the reality is that the manager just has to pick up their phone, respond to a couple emails here and there. Management agreements do not say the manager's going to do anything for you. That's industry standard. Because what would it say? I'm going to get you to 2 million plays on Spotify. How are they going to do that? How can they possibly guarantee that? I'm going to get you so many shows. They're not agents. They're not even allowed to be agents. So the actual agreement says the manager is going to mentor you. So because that's all it says, when the manager goes MIA and hasn't responded to you in a month, and then you call me up, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to get out of this agreement. It's going to be an uphill battle. So that's why we try to make sure that the term of the agreement, so how long you have to be in the agreement, is as short as possible. And then sunset clauses. Okay, so sunset clauses define a percentage that the manager gets after the contract is terminated. This is so great for managers, right? They not only get paid the 20% while they represent you, but typically they're going to get a percentage of your income for a period of time after they leave you. And for some agreements, I've seen stuff where people are like, for the first year, I'm going to get my 20% still for my investment. So that means you're paying the old manager 20%. And then you're going to have a new manager come in that's going to want another 20%. So 40% of your income is out the door. So that's what happens if you aren't careful with this stuff. So number one with sunset clauses, just remember that they are not required. You do not have to agree to them. You can say, no, you get your percentage during our relationship. That's it. But if they come back and they're playing hardball, you can negotiate it down and be like, cool. If you want for like 6 months after the relationship, I'll give you 5% or I'll give you 10%. So this is where you really sticking, your heels in, and being strong and negotiating well is really important. All right. So I want to leave you just with a couple of my top tips, okay, just to really think about as you are going through your management agreement. Number one, make sure you actually get an attorney to do a final review of your agreement. It's cool if you're like talking to the other side, you're talking to the manager, you're negotiating back and forth. But before you actually sign it, please make sure you get an attorney because there's stuff you're not seeing. There's stuff you don't know about. Okay. And then what I would also say is stop being desperate. Okay. It's okay to feel desperate and to be like, dude, this is the only opportunity I have right now. I don't know when another one is coming along. This manager says he can make me a big star and really help with my career and get my Spotify plays up. Don't do the deal because you are so desperate. I know the feeling. And you're right. Another opportunity might not come along right away. But this guy or gal could be scamming you and you are about to avoid a really bad deal because you have a bad feeling in your gut and you got to go with that. Okay? So I just, it's so hard the younger that you are when these opportunities come along. And as you get older, you build up kind of this resiliency because now you see that really these big opportunities that they're promising aren't real. And sometimes you got to get burned to learn that lesson. Okay? Again, managers, all they really have to do is say they're mentoring you, pick up the phone, send an email. So that's why it's important to try to have some time before you sign to court the person, right? So date them, if you will. Take some time to see how it's going, and you'll really thank yourself for doing that. And remember that the manager really holds a lot of the cards. The management agreements are not set up to protect the artist because, again, they don't say the manager's going to make sure you get press reviews, right? And send out press releases and to show up to your shows and help with the merch table. It says none of that. The management agreements are really set up to protect managers. All right, so that's why you have to negotiate them as best you can. And then for managers, okay, because I want to be fair for those of you that have held on, I understand there's a different side to this, right? We have artists who are total slackers that waste our time, that waste our money, and that is a whole other video that we'll have to do, okay? And of course, if you are interested in kind of deep diving about management agreements further, I do have other videos on Top Music Attorney YouTube channel, so make sure you check that out. If you've enjoyed this, please be sure to like and subscribe. All right, guys, I hope you liked that. I really just dove in because I just was dealing with a couple of management agreements this week that were it's tough for me as an attorney, because sometimes I want to just yell at my client and be like, please don't sign this. There are red flags everywhere. You are going to regret this. And sometimes the emotional compulsion of the fear that the artist has of losing out on a big opportunity is too strong. And so they'll sign it, and all I can do as the attorney is just to obviously advise them. But it just frustrates me sometimes because we're just talking about doing deals with people. So it's not managers and all managers are bad. No, a lot of managers are bad. A lot of agents are bad. A lot of artists are bad. So it's really, who are you doing the deal with and what are you doing to protect yourself? All right. With that all being said, I went off on a little rant, but what are you going to do? Mr. Producer, do we have a video? Because what we're going to do is we're going to close out the show. As a reminder, I have the new song coming out tomorrow. It will be everywhere at midnight, technically. So yeah, if you want to check out the song, it's called Something in the Way, everywhere at midnight or tomorrow, whenever. And you can pre-save, just go to like Miss Krystle on any music platforms. I'm really excited for the song, and we even shot a video. I have not released a music video in a hot minute. And I actually have not received a full edit back. We're going to be releasing this thing soon, and I'm working with a new team, so I'm like, oh man. So yeah, things. All right, Mr. Producer says we have middle of the night, so we're going to watch middle of the night. I'll be in the chat. I appreciate you guys being here, and we will definitely be back next week. I love your faces. Come say hi on socials. See you tomorrow.
I summoned you, please come to me. Don't bury thoughts that you really want. I fill you up, drink from my cup. Within me lies what you really want. Come, lay me down, 'cause you know this, 'cause you know this. In the middle of the night, in the middle of the night, just call my name, I'm yours to take. In the middle of the night, in the middle of the night, I'm wide awake, I crave your taste all night long, till morning comes. I'm getting what is mine, you gon' get yours on no. In the middle of the night, in the middle of the night, oh no. These burning flames, these crashing waves wash over me like a hurricane. I captivate, you're hypnotized, feel bad.